Everything that I'm going to show you today is available on that card. So you can QR code it, or you can just go straight to my website, and everything, this is posted there, so you really don't have to take notes or anything unless you're just dying to. The movies that I'm going to show you in the PowerPoint are not on the website because I saved it as a PDF. If you're interested in anything that I showed you that's not on there, you want to take it back and show your teachers a movie or something, if you'll just email me, and my email's on the card, I'll be glad to help you. I'm one of those people that I feel like once you learn how to do something, it's your obligation to share it with others. And so that's kind of what I've started doing with the iPads and the iPods. We're going to talk about iPods, iTouches, and iPads. We have them all at our school, and I'll kind of tell you, just go through how we got into it and what we're doing and everything. I teach at Puster Elementary. I've been a librarian for 4 years. I was a band director before, so I came from a totally different world. But there's a lot of technology in the band world as well, so I'm very comfortable with that. When we opened the school 4 years ago, our technology director would not let us buy a cassette player, a CD player, anything that was not digital. Everything that we do at Puster is digital because we don't have those devices on our campus. Our kids mostly don't even know what a cassette tape is, so we just don't have those anymore. This is on the back of the card if you need it. There it is, though. It'll take you straight to my website. Like I said, when we opened Puster 4 years ago, we didn't buy anything that was not digital. And so we bought about 100 iPods, and they just kind of brought them to me and said, okay, what are you going to do with these? You know, we want them in kindergarten, first, and second grade. And I thought, great, what do we do with them? And really, before I started, the summer before, I didn't have an iPhone. I didn't have an iPod of my own. I had nothing. So I was kind of starting from the ground up trying to figure this out. So we got, like I said, over 100 iPods for kindergarten, first, and second grade, and we use them in listening centers. And I'll kind of go through that in a minute. We use them in small groups, and we also have decided to check them out individually to kids that on a need basis. We have about 30 iPod Touches. We got those the second year. They brought those to me and said, these are to be used with 4th and 5th grade science. Okay, what do you want me to do? You know, I mean, there was no really direction on what to do, so we just kind of created what to do. Then our third year there, we got a grant for our 3rd grade team to have a set of iPads. And so we got about 22 iPads, enough for, we bring them all together on one day and then we shuffle them out, and then each class has about 5 throughout the week. We just have recently got a grant for 30 to have in the library for checkout, which I'm really excited about because it's been so good for our 3rd graders, but then those 3rd graders move on to 4th grade, and then they don't have that anymore. So it's going to be great for our teachers to be able to check out and just use in their classrooms. So that's kind of what we have. These are just different examples of kind of what goes on at Puster. This was our 3rd grade classroom. We actually got a grant from the Lovejoy Education Foundation, so we made a video, and we were thanking them for giving us the iPads. This is center time in a 3rd grade classroom. They're on their iPads. They all have their own earbuds. This is a 3rd grade and a kindergarten doing reading buddies on the iPad. And then we have, like, this kid is just reading a book. These kids, we've got splitters so the kids can read books together. The different things that we did with the iPod when we initially got it the first year. We started in kindergarten through 2nd, and really our iPods are still in kindergarten through 2nd except for the individual ones that we have checked out and a couple of exceptions with that. I put library orientation. I did a movie of library orientation. We put it on the iPod so that the kids can continue to watch that, and I'll show you a little bit of that in a minute. We got books, and we got Scholastic books with CDs, and I put those on the iPod. I use iTunes. We also converted a lot of our cassettes over to a digital. They've got a machine now that you can buy that is a digital conversion of a cassette player. So you put the cassette in there and it digitally converts it. We had all the books, we had all the audio, so we just made it digital. And we've kind of gone through a couple of different things, and it kind of keeps changing because this is such a new technology. like when we first started, I asked a guy who worked for Apple, pretty high up in Apple, and I said, can I download the song once and put it on different devices? And he said, you have up to 5 devices that you can put it on. Well, that's not really the rule anymore. The rule is they want 1-to-1 now. So like I said, it keeps changing. So we're always trying to be very careful about how we do copyright and everything. But like I said, it's a changing, ever-changing world just because we're creating all the time. We put podcasts on there, especially for our littler kids. There's some, like Y Guy and Sesame Street, there's some really good podcasts. I also did word wall words, and I'll show you what I did with that in just a minute. Number recognition, same thing. And then Caldecott books, United Streaming Discovery Education. If you have that, you have the ability to download those movies, and you can put those movies onto an iDevice. So I went through and got all the Caldecott books off of there, because in 2nd grade right now we have the Caldecott Kids, and what that means is we're trying to convince the 2nd graders, who really should be reading at that level, not to read Hunger Games, but to read Caldecott books. And so we created a thing where they can read, if they read 25 Caldecott books, they're a Caldecott kid. If they read 50, they're a bronze level. If they read 75, they're a silver level. And if they're gold, if they read 100, they're a gold level. And we probably had about 10 kids read 100 of the Caldecott books in 2nd grade. But some of them are on their iPod, so they can actually just listen to them. And they basically kind of turn them into movies on there. We put a lot of different science videos, the videos that go along with their science text that they're studying right now. We download those from United Streaming and put those on. And then we also have some student-created science movies, and I'll show you one of those in just a minute. So this is library orientation. We have a dog at our school. When our school opened, somebody bought the principal a dog, so we have a dog. So I did library orientation with our dog. And I got my son to narrate it just so it would be a kid voice. If you wonder how we did this, we had treats. And we just put them in different strategic places.
She found the book she wanted and now is checking it out with Miss G. Make sure to bring her library tag. Becca is enjoying reading the book in the reading area. She has her book checked out and is ready to go back to class. When she finishes her book, she will check it in at the check-in computer. We hope you enjoy your time with Mr. Library.
Okay, so that's just an easy way that they watch library orientation over and over again because they like the video, but it's on the iPods now. The way that I did that and the way that I do a lot of these movies that I make is I get the pictures and I put them in Photo Story 3. And then I narrate them and just turn them into a movie. That's how I did the word wall words too. We had some kids that were really having trouble learning their words, and so I did word wall words, and basically I did the same thing. I put this into PowerPoint and saved it as a JPEG, put it into Photo Story 3, and then turned it into this. The kids, though, they'll be looking at their iPod, and they think that they have to say it before I do. They think like it's a game. I'm sure after a while they realize it really works if they don't. But we've got 600 of the Fry's word wall words on this, and we've got them broken down into 20. So for like kindergarten, I can put 1 through 100 on there, but I put 1 through 20, 21 through 40, like that. And then as we go up to the different grade levels, we have more words, we add more words. And then we also did that with number recognition, because the little guys are having trouble with number recognition. They just have to know from 1 to 20. But doing it this way, they can practice and practice and practice, and it's basically a movie, and they have fun doing it. This is another thing that we did. We do a capstone every year, and each one of our different grade levels do a different project to finish out the year. Well, last year in 4th grade, what we decided to do was design science books that were based on a science teak that they had last year, but it was kind of a fictional story. And so what these kids did was toil in the soil. And so they illustrated their own page. We dropped this scanned it and we put it into PowerPoint, and then they put their text on it in PowerPoint. Then we saved it as a JPEG. We put it in Photo Story and turned it into an audio book as well. So they have the hard copy of the book in the library that they can come look at, and then they also have the video version of it. And I'll just show you just a little bit of this. What we've done this year, they did this last year, they're going to do it again this year, and we're going to use math as well. So they can either do a math or science book, basically. Their ideas, this one was the gravity thief. So gravity has come to a ranch and stolen gravity, and the cows are all floating. So they have to figure out how to get the gravity thief under control so they can get all the cows back down. One of them they did was magnets, and this magnet fell in love with who he just loved, but they were polar opposites, so they couldn't attract. So, I mean, they are very, very creative.
Soil in the Soil. Story by Annabelle B., California, StoryRobe, and Zachary Rodriguez. Illustrated by StoryRobe and Annabelle.
So there are 4 kids or 5 kids in each group. So these guys actually put nonfiction facts on each one of their pages as well. But we can put these now on the iPods for the kids this year, and they can learn basically from other kids. So it's really not hard to do. The 4th grade teachers just bought into it and went with it. This year, the 4th grade team got Macs, and so we have about 65 Macs, and so they've used them all year. And so we're going to try to do this entire thing through Keynote this year. Save it as a QuickTime and then put it on the iPods.
Terry?
Yes?
Can you go through the logistics of how you did it? They were going to write the story, they were using PowerPoint, because there were several steps.
Yes, and this is basically how I've done everything in this, and I'm kind of switching, like we started talking about how to do it on the Macs the other day, and just how to do the same thing, but what we do is, with this, the kids drew their pictures, they came up with their story idea, and they got a storyboard going. They came up with their pictures, and we scanned the pictures. So then we had a digital copy of the pictures. We put those pictures into PowerPoint, and then we put text on top of the pictures. Then we saved those pictures as JPEGs, because to put something in Photo Story, it has to be a picture. So we put those pictures into the JPEG pictures into Photo Story, and then they used Photo Story to make an audio book. And then you basically just save it as a movie. You do have to convert it when it comes out of Photo Story. I think it's a WMV, and you actually have to convert it to an MP4. If you don't have a good converter, there's one called Format Factory that will convert anything to anything. Our iPods work so good with the little guys that our special ed teacher approached me and said, how can we use iPods to affect individual learners? Because we had a couple of extra and that weren't spoken for in the classrooms. And so she said, you know, we've got dyslexic students in 5th grade that are trying to read along with their class, and they're doing a lit circle or something. Can we put that book on an iPod for the kid and check it out? So we kind of changed, we added to what we were doing, and we started checking out individual iPods. Now, every kid can't come to the library and get an iPod, although they wish they could, because you're thinking that, oh no, these kids are going to be labeled, and everybody's going to think, oh my gosh, they have to have an iPod to read. They're the coolest kids now because they have the iPod and they get to read with the iPod. Our rule is they have to have the book with the iPod to read it, because we're trying to increase fluency, but we're also, comprehension and them reading along with it and everything. And, some people will say, well, they probably don't really read along with it, but I cannot tell you how many times a kid has brought me brought me the book and brought me their iPod and said, I lost my place. So I've read Hatchet a gazillion times trying to figure out where their place is. So I know that they're, most of them are really trying to keep up with it. The other thing, though, is some of the kids that are our older kids want to read what their peers are reading, and they just can't because, for some reason they're behind. So we've really tried to just encourage them to be able to read what other kids are reading and what the series that they want to read. I've got a kid reading the Lightning Thief series right now. There is no way he could have read it if he didn't have, an audio help device. The first year, I just checked them out, and I really didn't keep up with, I had them checked out through the library, so I knew who had them, but I didn't keep up with, hey, Mary, how is it going? Are you, what chapter are you on or anything? And so some kids really used it, and they would come back on a weekly basis and say, I need a new book, I need a new book, I need a new book. Some kids just kind of fell through the cracks, and I never knew whether they were using it or not because they never came back. So the second year I created an iPod checkout list, and they have to check with me at the end of every week and just say, here's what I'm reading, here's how much I've read, I need a new book, what do you recommend? And right now I've got like my bottom shelf in my office is like this long, and it's full of iPod books. It's stuff that I've downloaded from iTunes, and what I do with that is, like if you come into the library and you want a book, I'll put it on your iPod. When you're finished with it, basically I check it back in. I still have access to that book, but then she can come in and I check it out to her. So I really try to do the one-to-one thing, but really I've only purchased it once. Should I be purchasing it every single time a kid wants it? I don't know, To me, I've purchased the book and I have access to the book, so I'm downloading it. But I'm trying not to download it on 20 different devices. If a kid comes in and wants to read a book that's $34.95, I'll go, oh, okay, and buy it. Because I know that I have that money and that kid really wants to read that book. We have turned around so many kids and gotten them reading. I had a dyslexic mom of a dyslexic student come to me, and she said, we're going to soccer practice the other day, and he goes, wait, I forgot my iPod. We had to run back in and get his iPod and his book so he could read on the way to soccer practice. This is a dyslexic kid who's never been able to read and keep up with his classmates. So, we've seen tremendous success with it. We use book fair books or library books. When the book fair comes, I go out and I just start grabbing books, take them in my office, get on iTunes. Is this available on iTunes? Yes, keep it. No, put it back. So I just try to constantly build the library collection so that they'll have a lot of stuff to choose from. Students must have the book to download the audio. They can't come in and just go, I want this. We don't have it in the library, but I just want to listen to it. They have to have the book. When you first teach the little guys, you have the book in your hand, and you're like, okay, you have the book. Now you have, and so they're looking at their iPod and they're trying to, make it, okay, no, it's not going to change. You just got to move that. Turn your page in your book. We bought these, and these are about $50, but these are like gold. These are Belkin, and they're microphones, and you just plug them into the bottom of your iPod or your iTouch or your iPad or anything, and it will record. So the kids, our reading recovery teacher has gotten a bunch of these, and iPods, and she has the kids read into this, and then they listen for their own fluency. So we've had a lot of success with that as well. Science videos, have downloaded a lot of the Discovery Education United Streaming. This is another thing. You don't have to write it down at the end. It's going to be on my accessories page. So as we keep going, it's basically a Belkin. It's called a Tune Talk Stereo. And like I said, they're expensive. They're about $50 a piece, but they're well worth it. The science videos, we have several ESL students. We have a 5th grader who came this year, did not speak a word of English. So we've put a lot of science videos on there just so he can start learning the vocabulary. Because he doesn't know what, he doesn't know what lumber is. He calls it wood. So if they can get on there and see those science videos and the stuff that they're seeing, that they're learning in class, he can take it home and watch the science videos. Math videos, we have star boards in our district. Every classroom has a star board. If you have any of the other ones, a lot of those will record lessons. And so you just hit record as you're doing your lesson, and that basically turns it into a movie. If a kid is having trouble with something in class and you have recorded the lesson, we can immediately turn around and put it on an iPod or an iTouch. Let him take it home so he's got that information at home. We also link those to our website. So if you've got the ability to get on the website at home, you can see the videos of what's been going on in class. Our classroom iPod, the 3rd graders started going, wait a minute, we like this idea, so what can we get? So we started doing classroom iPods for them, and we use them in lit circles. And so, especially if you have a slow reader in there, these are splitters, and you can hook up 5 kids to listen to the same book. So the kids all have their books in their hand, they're following along, but they're all listening to the audio version of the book. I got this actually at Walmart. This is listed on the accessories page at the end too. You can get these that are 2-way splitters or 5-way splitters. Eric Jensen came out with a book called Top Tunes for Teaching, and it's 977 song titles. And so I went through there and got relaxing songs and move it songs and all sorts of different songs. And then I created playlists for our teachers, and I would put that playlist on their iPod. So if they're sitting there and they want relaxing music, they go to click that playlist, and relaxing music comes and pipes in. If they need to get up and move, you know, they've got the Move It playlist. But that book is really good. I got a lot of good ideas from that book. When we got the iPads and the iTouches, we kind of got them about the same time. It kind of brought a new dimension to, oh my gosh, what are we going to do now? We brought the kids in and we let them establish the norms and the rules, and that has been really good because in the 2 years that we've had the iTouches and the iPads, we have had absolutely no problem whatsoever. Matter of fact, as we buy the new iPads, we're not buying the Apple Care, and I might regret this down the road, but we're not purchasing the Apple Care because we haven't had any problems. We haven't had any kids drop. We haven't had them spilled on. We have had no problems with the iPads. And we've had them for 2 years now, so I'm hoping that continues. We usually introduce one app a week, especially at the beginning of the year. We wipe them clean and start over again. So at the end of the year, I'll get all of them back in. I'll unsync everything to where there's nothing on there. Then we'll put one app on. And in third grade, what they do is they bring them all back into third grade to one class. They learn the app, in about an hour. Then they switch to the next class. They take them all to the next class. They have an hour, they learn the app. Next class, learn the app. Next class, learn the app. Then after Monday, we split them all back up again, and the kids are familiar with that app. So then during center time, they can go get the iPad out. That's one of the centers, and they can use that app. They can learn it a little bit better. There are a bunch of try it before you buy it. There's a light version of a lot of stuff, and a lot of times we'll download that just so we can try it and see if it's effective, see if the kids like it, see if it really meets the needs that we have. They use it during center time. They use it for extensions and for remediation. We were worried because the same kids always get done first, and they were the ones that always got the iPads. But our teachers just told the kids, you know, there are some kids that are not being able to get on the iPads at all because they're not the ones that are done first. And that day, I mean, you could see it in the classrooms. Here, you know, you just finished, you're done now, you can have it now. So the kids are very welcoming and sharing, good at sharing with each other. But when they're in the room all the time, they have them all the time. So it's not like, oh, it's an iPad. It's just like, oh, okay, I'm going to be on the iPads now. It's not quite as big a deal. Ways to use in the classroom or in the library. We download iBooks. And if you know anything about iPads, there's a little icon that is, or an app that is iBooks. And so we've downloaded a ton of third grade books onto their iBooks. And so the kids can go in there, and the kids, if they're reading like a novel, always know that they need to go get, like one of our teachers, his name is Price, so they go get Price number 5 because that's where that's the book that they've been reading on. All their notes are in there. The teacher can go back and take up Price 5 and look at it and see what the kids have annotated. But they always get the same one if they're reading a novel especially. Discovery Education videos, like I said, we've downloaded some and put them on our devices. But you can also, there's not an app that's Discovery Education, but if you go to mobile.discoveryeducation.com on your Safari, if you have Discovery Education, if your district has purchased that, you've got the availability to get a bunch of the movies on there. The Pearson readers, if you have the Pearson adoption, there's a thing called Pearson readers, and if you have the adoption, you have this, even if you don't know you have this. But there's PDFs of tons and tons of science and social studies books, and a lot of those we have turned into PDFs and put them, and when you save it to your iPad, it puts it in the PDF collection of your iBooks. Math, science, history, English apps, we've got a bunch of those. We use it for the internet. We use it to create projects. I'll show you a StoryRobe thing. This is kind of my new favorite app, StoryRobe. Book Creator is also really good. Book Creator lets you take pictures and create a book, basically. StoryRobe kind of turns it into a movie, pages, keynotes, and movies. We do the class scrapbook on there. The kids can take pictures of different things, and then at the end of the year, you basically have the class scrapbook. Flashcards, I'll show you one of my favorite flashcard apps. We did the same thing with the word wall words. We made flashcards, and I put 20 of them in each deck. And so the kids come, I'll show you this in a minute when I hook up my iPad, but the kids come and they can click on the flashcard. If they know it, they say it, and they can move it to this pile. If they don't know it, they move it to this pile. And then we can kind of talk about what that, what it actually is. Google Earth, podcast, iTunes U. If you don't know about iTunes U, get on iTunes and type in iTunes U, and there's tons and tons and tons of podcasts on a lot of different topics. You got to be careful, though, and make sure that you know what you're putting on there, Because sometimes there's inappropriate stuff out there, and you just got to make sure that you've listened to it before you put it in the hands of the kids. You can get periodicals, newspapers on there. Microscope, this is another one of my new favorite things. This is a microscope, and this is also listed on the accessories page. It's called a proscope, but it's a mobile proscope. This has its own Wi-Fi. And so when I turn this on, if you have an iDevice, if you clicked over to settings right now and went to the Wi-Fi, this would be on your Wi-Fi device. And so what I can do is I can have this at the front of the room, and I can be looking at whatever I'm looking at, and it can be projecting up here, but you can also have it on your iDevice at the back of the room. Yeah. I think this is $239, but how cool. How cool to even take out to a field trip. You can take it anywhere because its Wi-Fi is built into it. It's called a Proscope Mobile. Like I said, it's on the very back page. And there's actually a lot of people that are selling it right now. It's by Bodelin, Bodelin Technologies. The people that I saw, I went to ISTE last year, and the people that I saw that were selling it were not a vendor of ours. So I just Googled it and found it through a vendor of ours, and was able to order it. Like I said, it's really neat though, because you just join the Wi-Fi and then you can see whatever I'm looking at. And have y'all seen these before? There's some of these that plug into computers too. It's just really cool because you can magnify it and you look at your hand. Oh, does it look nasty when you get up that close? But the kids really, really like that. Compass QR codes. If you don't know about QR codes, somebody just did a great session on QR codes this morning. QR codes was what I showed. They're on the back of my card. That's a QR code. You can do scavenger hunts. What we've done in the library is we put book trailers or book recommendations on QR codes, and the kids can borrow an iTouch from the circulation desk and go around the library and QR code stuff and find stuff that they want to read just by looking at the QR code. Live Binders. Live Binders is now available on iPad. Clickers, the student response things, they are now going digital. And so I'll show you kind of what the page looks like in just a second. You can use... Okay, so this is StoryRobe, and what this is you can take pictures, and we did this with an iTouch, but you can do it with an iPad too as well. Basically, you just go around and take pictures, and this was a pre-assessment, so some of the information is not even correct, but the teacher took the pre-assessment movie that the kids made, she watched it, and then she knew exactly what she needed to go back and teach. And she was kind of surprised that they knew as much as they did.
Is an acute angle. We estimated it to be 45 degrees. The green things actually are right angles. They're 90 degrees.
So the kids basically just took the iTouch and went around school and took pictures of angles.
Are right angles. They are 90 degrees. Okay. The blue hexagon's edges are of two samples. We predict that they are 125 degrees.
The polygon bucket is a 360 degree angle.
And like I said, all the information in all the movies was not correct, but she could go back and in about 10 minutes watch all of the movies and know what she needed to cover the next day. That was total pre-assessment, and she knew, she said they knew a lot more than she thought they knew, which I think is a good thing. This is what the Convey, we actually use the Duquesne Convey clickers, and this is what it's going to look like on an iDevice. So basically, you kind of join that URL, and then this will come up, and the kids can just use whatever iDevice they have, whether it's their own phone or something that you've provided or a computer that's in the room. They can get on and do that. Specific book pairings, I kind of started this summer after hearing Steve Dimbo. I don't know if y'all have ever heard him. He's amazing. If you haven't, I really highly recommend you try to hear him at some point in your life. He works for Discovery Education. And so what he did, he just inspired me to use apps in the way that they are going to most affect kids. Because there's some really cool apps out there, but if you just kind of play with them and you don't really figure out how they're going to really affect the kids, you're not using them to their fullest extent. So I started going through my library and trying to figure out what books do I have that would work with apps and how could I use that with the kids. And so one of the books is The Dot, and this is Peter Reynolds, and he just talks about how basically you make your dot in life, and it doesn't matter what your dot is, it's a great thing. So I paired that with Drawing Pad and had the kids make their own dots. And it just kind of talks about dreaming dreams and whatever you do is okay. Press Here, I don't think I have that book. That is one of my new favorite books. Does anybody know that book? Press Here. It's an interactive book, and so what you do is you open it up and it's got dots on it, and it says press the middle dot. So you press the middle dot and you turn the page and it's done something. I can't keep it in the library though, that's why I didn't bring it, because the kids check it out all the time, but it's basically an interactive book. It says blow on the book, so you blow on the book and all the dots go to the other side on the next page. But basically we make our own Press Here book through Drawing Pad. My dog is a Smelly. These two books right here, there's an app called Faces I Make, and what we're doing right now is our kids in first grade are getting ready to have their Mother's Day tea, and so they went on and they created, what they basically did was they took people, but they made them out of different objects. And so the kids can go on Faces I Make and do the exact same thing. And so they say, my mother is as beautiful as a rose, so part of her face is a rose. My mother is as soft as a cotton ball, so part of the, they put the cotton ball on there. If you give a mouse a cookie, everybody probably knows that one, there's a cookie doodle, and so you can go in and make your own cookies. You have your own little recipe and you make your own cookies and everything. Any penguin book, there's an app called Pocket Penguins that allows you to go on the California Natural Science Academy and see live penguins. It's really, really neat. Lots of bots. This is another really neat one. This one, basically you make your own robot. And so there's an app called Bot Garage where the kids, after we read the book, they can go in and make their own robot. This is not a book, obviously, that I check out, but I do read it to the kids, and then they go in and do their own little thing there. So I've really tried to figure out how to use the apps in the best way to help the learning of the kids. This is just a movie that a high school kid actually came over and made for his senior project. This is kind of how the iPads look in the classroom. Like I said, we use them with math, science, everything. All right, let's keep going here. Finding apps, one of the best ways that I find apps now is Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, I highly, highly recommend it. I didn't get on until this summer when I went to ISTE, and everybody at ISTE was on Twitter, and I thought, okay, I got to get on. So I got on, and then I didn't totally understand what I was doing. But when I started following different people, and they started posting just amazing articles, a lot about iPads and about iDevices and education and everything, I fell in love with it. And I don't post a whole lot. I actually work at a bookstore, and so I post through the bookstore, but then nobody knows who I am, so it's kind of safe. But I don't post a whole lot, but I do read a lot of stuff that comes through. Conferences and people, a lot of times it's stuff like this. I'll just say, hey, what's your favorite app? Hey, how do you use that app? And just get ideas from people, because the people that are using it, that are passionate about a different app, is great. But then there's just some different other places that you can go and look. eBooks, how to create your own eBooks. There's just some different ideas about how to create your own books and put them on the iDevices. Then this is the accessories page, and I'll kind of just show you real fast. I'll just run through this. This is the camera connection kit, and what it is it plugs into the bottom of your iPad, and you put your SD card from your camera in here, and it immediately just sucks all your pictures onto your iPad. So this is a really, really neat thing to have. It copies them. Yeah, it copies them. So they're actually not moved off of your camera. You have to go in and move them a different way. Remove them if you want to. iPad dock connector to VGA. I didn't bring that, but it's basically a long cord that will plug into your wall that will allow your iPad to connect. This is a dongle, basically, that you can plug your iPad into. And, oops, this is not the right one, though. That's for my Mac. I've got it sitting over here somewhere. I don't know where it is. I might not have gotten it out. But basically, it's a dongle that allows you to plug this side into your iPad, this side into your iPad, and this side goes into the projector. And so if you have a 1, there's a lot of stuff that still doesn't project. If you have a 2, almost everything projects. I haven't seen a 3 yet. Does anybody have a 3 in here? Oh!
Battery life is terrible.
On the 3?
We have a couple in our district.
That's interesting because the 4 iPhone was kind of the same way when it first came out. I know. The Apple Care Protection Plan, I mean, like I said, we've gotten to where we're not buying this anymore because we're spending, if you buy it for $4, you could buy another iPad. So we've just gotten to where we're not doing that right now. The Belkin splitter, I showed you a while ago. Power, if you're going to charge a bunch, I highly recommend buying this. This is Walmart, $19. Basically, you plug it in the wall and you can charge 4 at a time. I don't charge iPads with this just because I don't think it has really enough power, but I do charge constantly. This is plugged into my office all the time, and my individual kids that have iPods walk in and go, need a charge. They just go back, plug it in, they come back an hour later and it's charged. But like I said, this has been a lifesaver because if you're doing it 1 at a time. A hub. This is what I use to sync at the beginning of the year. And so what it is a USB that I plug into my computer, and then I plug all the iPods. I don't do this with iPad, but I do it with iPods, and so I can sync 5 at a time. I would highly recommend this if you're going to get numerous iPods. They have syncing stations now. I'm not fortunate enough yet to get one. Actually, my technology director called me the other day, and she goes, "Do you want one?" And I said, okay, so I can either have that or I can have 2 more iPads? And she goes, yeah, and I went, I'll take 2 more iPads. I would rather, I'd rather go through the process of syncing it myself and taking a little bit more time and having more devices to get in the hands of the kids. Thankfully, she said, I think we can do both, so, woo! And then this is the microscope. Like I said, all of this is available out there. Kind of developed this app rubric just based off of a couple of different ones that I saw online, but I just made this for us because we realized we were getting a bunch of apps, but we were not really evaluating whether they were good and whether they were meeting the purpose that we wanted them to. So I created that. You're welcome to use it if you want. My favorite apps. Let me see if I can get this thing plugged in right quick. It would help if I remember where I put my cord. Here it is right here. Okay, so I'm going to unplug my computer. I'm going to plug my iPad in right quick. This is what I was talking about a while ago. This is basically you plug it in the bottom of your iPad. My newest favorite app, though, is Draw Something. Anybody do that? Oh, I'm totally hooked on Draw Something. It's not a good thing to do if you don't have time, though, which I don't have time. Oops. Okay, so I'm just going to go through a couple of these real fast. I put them in alphabetical order so that I can find them. iCard sort. This is the flashcards that I use. It's called iCard sort. And this is the one that I've made up just a ton of decks. And so the kids basically, if they know the word, they drag it up here. If they don't know the word, you could put 2 cards and you could do vocabulary on here. I mean, you could do, it's unlimited too how many you can make. I think it's 99 cents. Some of these cost, but none of them are very much at all. Audio Note, love this app. Not for the classroom, but I don't like necessarily to take notes. And so I listened to Kevin Honeycutt this morning. I recorded him, and I took notes on it. Now, the cool thing is, wherever I took this note, like where I took the note on Lulu, if I wanted to go back and hear what he was talking about when he said that, I would touch Lulu, and I would push play, and it will play what he was saying when I took that note. Audio Note. This one actually costs a little bit more. I think this is the most I've ever paid for an app, but I love it. It's $4.99.